Welcome into Stacking the Box. I am Sterling Holmes, Iain MacMillan. You can follow him on the X at Iain McBets. You can follow me at Homestretch KC. Fun show. I just got back from a bachelor party, and Ian's in Canada, so we're having a lot of fun over here. But preseason week 2 thoughts. We'll do a Defensive Player of the Year draft. Daniel Jones. What? We'll talk about J.J. McCarthy, as well as the top story. Falcons absolutely loading up, and where do they sit in the race for the best NFC team? We'll talk about all that and more. But Iain, how are you?
I'm doing well, Sterling. I think of all the Mondays throughout the football season, I think this might be the one the two of us are kind of hurting the most. We're kind of, with you on your bachelor party and me being on vacation in Canada, we're both kind of soaking up the last couple weeks we have of freedom before we enter the grind of the football season. So, I'm at a week and a half of vacation now. I'm a little worse for wear. I haven't shaved in a while, as you can tell. The beard, not great. Still can't grow a beard.
Time out. I thought you were shaving your cheeks.
No.
I thought that was just,
No, just nothing grows in on my cheeks.
Yeah.
So, I can grow a goatee. It's just about as best as I can do.
You should just leave the goatee. The goatee's strong.
I don't know. I think it all has to go. I have to reapply for my visa when I enter the U.S. in a couple of days, and I don't think I'm going to improve my chances by looking like I do now. So sometime between now and Thursday, I will be shaving before I try to cross the border again. Hopefully, they'll let me across the border.
I don't know. You've had some bad takes.
Yeah. If they've watched this show, they might not.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about your Falcons. Your Atlanta Falcons. They made some moves, and not just these minor ones. They made some big moves. They traded for Matthew Judon. They signed Justin Simmons. Where do the Falcons now stand in the NFC landscape?
Well, this is a dream situation as someone who cheers for a team. This is what you want your team to do in the offseason, is load up with pieces and try to make a Super Bowl run. Now, we got our quarterbacks in the offseason. We made a couple of other decent signings, but I still think, like a few weeks ago, I said we were still a pass rusher away and another piece in the secondary away from truly being a Super Bowl contender. What did the Falcons go do? They got a pass rusher, Matthew Judon, traded a third-round pick for him, got another safety, Justin Simmons. We now have every piece. There's no position that we're missing. When you look at what makes up a Super Bowl roster, the Atlanta Falcons check every single box. Quarterback, skill positions, offensive line, top 3 offensive line in the NFL. Defense, a defense that already took with the pieces they had a significant step forward last year. Now you add, an all-star pass rusher. This is something the Falcons haven't had in years. They're ready to make a run. I don't think this is a hot take. I don't think I'm being biased when I say the Atlanta Falcons are the second best team in the NFC behind the 49ers. I think it's the 49ers, it's the Falcons, and then kind of everybody else.
I think that's a little bold. I think they're the best team in the NFC South, but I still don't think they're better than the Eagles.
I disagree.
Are they better than the Cowboys? Probably.
Yes.
But are they better than the Rams?
Oh, I'll listen to conversations about the Eagles, Cowboys, and Lions. The Rams are underdogs to make the playoffs, so let's relax about the Rams.
Again, I think the Falcons are almost in the Lions territory. That's about exactly where I'd put them. Packers.
Hunter says Lions, Packers, Eagles all better. That's just incorrect.
I think
Packers
Eagles
are certainly not better.
Packers, I think people are a little enamored by last year's second half Jordan Love. I want to see it done for a full season. I'm still I might be a little more down on the Packers than most. It almost reminds me of when Jacksonville won that one playoff game against the Chargers, and everyone was starting to crown Jacksonville. And then what happened last year? Come on. Well, I got to see it over an extended period of time there. But with the Falcons, they have a lot of good pieces, but how many great pieces? The offensive line, yes. But Kirk Cousins is a good quarterback. He's not a great quarterback. Drake London is a really good wide receiver. He's not a great wide receiver. Kyle Pitts is at this moment, we can talk about potential all we want. He's a really good tight end, talent-wise. He's not Mark Andrews, Kittle, Kelsey. He's not TJ Hawkinson or Sam Laporta, right? Defensively, Matthew Judon's a really good pass rusher. He's not an elite pass rusher. He's not Chris Jones. He's not, Max Crosby, the Bosas, the Watts, right? Justin Simmons, really good safety. He ain't Kyle Hamilton. So I think the Falcons have a lot of collective good players, but how many great players do they really have?
Philip in the chat, great point. Jesse Bates, elite. Arguably the best safety in the NFL already. Bijan Robinson, great. I think you saying Kirk Cousins is a good quarterback, but not great. It is insane. Statistically, he's been a great quarterback for a number of years, was leading the NFL in passing yards when he got hurt in week 8 last season. Good quarterbacks don't lead the NFL in passing yards. So that's just incorrect.
So he's in the same category as Joe, Josh, and Pat, huh?
No, those guys are elite. I mean, we've had this conversation before. There's elite, and then there's great, and then there's good. I'm not saying Kirk Cousins is elite, but he's great. He's one step below those guys. He's in the great category, which is good enough to win when you have a top 3 offensive line. And yes, Drake London, it's kind of hard for me to make the case for Drake London right now, but let's remember who his quarterbacks were the past 2 seasons. You had Desmond Ridder last year and Marcus Mariota the year before. The Falcons the past 2 years had the worst quarterback in the NFL both seasons. So you can't judge the receivers. Kyle Pitts had 1,000 receiving yards in his rookie season, and then he had to play with Marcus Mariota and Desmond Ridder. So let's relax on the slander for Kyle Pitts and Drake
I didn't
London.
say slander. I think calling him good is fair.
I don't think it's fair. So it is.
Where would you put Kyle Pitts, a guy who's had 1,000-yard receiving season in his entire NFL career? You mean to put him up there with all the greats?
He's a top 5 tight end in the NFL right now, yeah.
No, he's not.
Who do you think is going to have more receiving yards this year, Kyle Pitts or Travis Kelce?
Oh, Travis Kelce, guaranteed.
All right. Sounds like a bet.
Okay, first bet. Nails.
Done. Write it down.
Wow, okay.
What are we putting on the line? Round of golf on the line.
Round of golf on the line? Okay. That's just a bad bet, Iain. That's just...
I don't think it is. I mean, I don't know what Kyle Pitts' receiving yards total is at the sports books. I know Travis Kelce's like 850, though.
Kelce over Pitts.
First bet of the season, locked in. What a moment.
Iain, golf.
Also, Justin Simmons also great, by the way. Wasn't he second team All Pro last? He was second team All Pro last year. What are we talking about? He's not great.
He's got really good safety play. The Falcons do with Jesse Bates and Justin Simmons. Really good safety play. But to me, safety play is almost safety play, in my opinion. Safeties, for example, are one of the least impactful positions on the defense.
That's incorrect, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah, they're more impactful than cornerbacks or edge rushers, huh?
Depends on the scheme, I guess.
No, because I again,
keep the ball in front of you. Keep the ball in front of you.
I agree. So elite safeties don't make as much of an impact as, let's say, an elite wide receiver or an elite pass rusher. The difference between an elite versus average safety isn't going to move the needle for a team win-wise the same way an elite edge rusher moves the needle versus a average edge rusher. There's a bigger difference there, bigger gap there than safety play. Because safety play, to me, again, kind of the same boat. Again, this is very not even like a take. This is very very easy, simple-minded take on this, but I think it proves the point again. As you're saying, just keep it in front of you. Just don't get burned. Just don't get torched. You don't have to be the best safety in the NFL. The Chiefs have not gone by and won all these Super Bowls with elite safety play. Tyrann Mathieu was very good. Very, very good. And how do they value him? They said we're moving on. Justin Reed, really solid. Not elite, really solid. What have they said? We're going to draft your replacement in the draft this year. Safety play, as good as you can be, isn't necessarily the biggest needle mover on a defense.
I mean, this is insane Falcons slander right now, because no matter what I'm saying, first of all, you said that the Falcons aren't great anywhere. I then proved that we are great in a few spots. And then the spots where I said that we were great, you said, yeah, but those positions don't actually matter. So, there's no way I can win here.
Safety play is great. I'll give, you know what? Fine. I'll acquiesce. Offensive line play, you're right. We've talked back and forth about top 3 might be a little bold, but it's really good.
Can't argue they're not a top 5.
I'd probably go top 5. The first one that comes to mind is Lions, Eagles. But Eagles obviously have some question marks with the loss of Jason Kelce. I think the Falcons are a really good team. I don't think they're a great team. I think they will win the NFC South. They'll host a playoff game. They might win one, but I don't see them beating the Lions, the Eagles, the Niners. And the Cowboys and Packers might give them a little trouble.
Let's also remember the Falcons have by far the easiest schedule in the NFL. The number 1 seed's not out of the question. By far the easiest schedule. It's not even close.
Yeah, it's cake.
And they get all their tough games out of the way early. Like they might finish the game 8-0 or finish the season on an 8-0 run.
Yeah, it's a very favorable schedule for the Falcons.
All I'm saying is let's get the season rolling. Let's kick it off. We got our pass rusher. We got some help in the secondary. I think the Falcons have every piece they need to be a legitimate. I'm not saying they are going to win the Super Bowl, but I think now you have to shift your opinion about this team from being a good team that might win a playoff game to a legitimate contender to win the NFC.
I'm happy for you, Iain. I'm happy for you.
Come on, man.
You at least have hope.
I would say we have a little bit more than hope. I would say we had hope before. I would say we have a little bit more than hope.
You didn't have hope with
I say now we have expectations, which is higher than hope.
I agree. You have expectations. I think expectations should be win a playoff game.
Not winning a playoff game is a failure of a season.
I would agree.
And I expect an NFC championship berth in the game. Not necessarily winning the NFC, especially if we have to play the 49ers, or if we play one of the other really good teams, anything could happen. I guess a second round game would probably be a tough one too, but I think I kind of expect a berth in the NFC championship.
Wow, is that another bet?
No.
Oh, okay. Because last year didn't work out too great for you. Yeah, Hunter, I'm with you, man. Hunter, he's acting like Kirk Cousins has a track record of getting to the Super Bowl. Again, I don't know why he's acting like. Again, I like Kirk Cousins. I like him more than most. But Ian's acting like this is Josh Allen or Joe or Patrick.
Or even
Brock Purdy.
I'm so sick of this.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. This is gonna make Ian's mind blow. Better quarterback, Brock Purdy, Kirk Cousins.
Kirk Cousins.
You weren't saying that last year, Mr. EPA.
I would have said it if Kirk Cousins played a full season.
I thought Brock Purdy was a top 3 quarterback or something for you last year.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins number 1, Brock Purdy number 2, and Lamar Jackson number 3 probably.
And Mahomes is just somewhere in the void.
Fine regular season, but he didn't really turn it on until the playoffs.
This is wild. This is wild.
I'm sick of this narrative repeated by Hunter that quarterbacks are the only position on a team that matters when it comes to making a Super Bowl. Hunter, come on. We're all smart enough. There are how many other starters on a team, offensive and defense? 21 other starters? But just because Kirk Cousins hasn't made it to a Super Bowl, then all of a sudden he stinks? Completely disregarding the teams that he's played on, the defenses the Vikings had, the defenses that Washington had when he was in Washington. What are we talking about, Hunter? Come on. Numbers don't lie. Stats don't lie. Also, the whole primetime Kirk argument that people make that he doesn't show up in primetime games has been proven false. It was the case in his first 5 seasons. He's been great in primetime the past 5 years, but people still repeat it. It's just simply not true anymore.
It was like the last year he finally got a win. Monday Night Football games crumbling Kirk, crumbling Cousins.
Are we going to start counting pitcher wins again? I thought we were in baseball. We moved on past pitcher wins because we understood that there was guys Jacob deGrom who would allow 1 run but then lose 1-0 when he was on the Mets. Same thing with quarterbacks. Let's not cite quarterback wins as an important stat. Let's not cite making it to the Super Bowl as an important stat. We don't do it in other sports. Why do we do it in football? We don't do it in hockey. We don't do it in baseball
if you consistently
anymore.
do it. No, I agree. But if you consistently do it with rotations of teams changing, a cast around you that's perpetually changing, at some point, what's the constant? Like Tom Brady, whatever your thoughts are on him, how many iterations and rotations of players that came in and out of New England, and he was the one constant?
Yeah,
right?
and the other constant was, well, first of all, Bill Belichick, which then led to defense. He had like a top 5 defense every year.
Oh, I'm not disagreeing. But then he also did it in Tampa. Like, I mean,
and they also had a great defense in Tampa.
Sure, but if you're consistently getting there and going there, there is something to it. I'm not talking one-offs. I'm not talking like the Trent Dilfers of the world here. I'm talking about the consistencies. Like Patrick Mahomes, right? There's been different iterations of the Chiefs already in the Mahomes era. He's perpetually got there, consistently got there.
And what's been the constant?
Him.
Good defenses. Andy Reid.
No. The last couple you can say there's been some solid defenses. Last year was a good defense.
Last year was a top 5 defense.
Last year was the only good defense.
I don't know if that's
don't do that. Now you're being a hater. Now you just don't know.
No, don't talk to me about being a hater. You've
just
been
don't know
Mr. Hater
ball.
this entire show. This show is supposed to be hyping up the Falcons after the moves they made, and you're sitting there hating. So don't point your hater finger at me.
I'm excited for the Falcons and their fans.
I'm
also a realist.
That's patronizing.
What? I'm a realist.
I'm excited for the Falcons. Okay.
I am excited for the Falcons. Right. I just feel like you're not knowing ball right now. That's okay. Let's get into it. Preseason week 2 thoughts. JJ McCarthy now out for the season.
Yeah, I think that was the other big takeaway from this past week of football. I mean, once again, I'm on vacation, so I haven't been, using my vacation to sit down and watch these preseason games. But JJ McCarthy being out for the Vikings is obviously huge. There was the quarterback battle heading into training camp. I think Sam Darnold was still expected to start at least at the start of the year, but now it is he will be their starter. And I'm excited to see how Sam Darnold does, because last year when Brock Purdy had like the one bad quarter, I had people in my mentions telling me that the 49ers should start Sam Darnold because Sam Darnold's a better quarterback than Brock Purdy. Well, let's find out, baby. Let's find out. He has Justin Jefferson. He has Jordan Addison. He doesn't have excuses. Let's find out, Sam Darnold. You didn't look good in your second preseason game, bud. I don't know why I'm taking it out on Sam Darnold.
I know this is kind of unfair to Sam.
But Sam Darnold season. Let's see.
I will say the Vikings offense should be at least decent if he plays decent football. Like, there's weapons on the Vikings. It's defensively they're going to struggle. Their offensive line was better last year compared to what it was the year prior. We'll see if that trend continues. But you're right. If Sam Darnold is at least a serviceable quarterback, the Vikings might not be as bad as I think a lot of people think they will be. The Raiders named Gardner Minshew QB1. Gardner Minshew is now the starting quarterback for the Raiders. I'm not surprised here. This is what I said all along. Aiden O'Connell was a fun story, but that's kind of what it was to me. A fun story. Gardner Minshew's done a great quarterback. He's in my opinion, like the definition of an average quarterback is Gardner Minshew. I think the Raiders just need an average quarterback. That's all they need. They have weapons. They have a defense. Offensive line, again, is slightly improved. They're over under 6.5 wins. I ripped the over. I think that's unfair. Again, as long as Gardner is solid, as long as he's average, I think the Raiders win at least 8 games.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, people are quick to forget Gardner Minshew was, a dropped pass on 4th down away from winning the AFC South last season, a division that had, the Jaguars and the Texans in it. So, I forget his name. He was like a 3rd-string running back, but if he catches that ball on 4th down, they walk in the end zone. Jaguars lose to the Titans the next day. It is the Colts that are in the playoffs as the AFC South champions. So, and Gardner Minshew did that. So I like Gardner Minshew. And yes, he is an average quarterback, but he's a fun average quarterback. You can be a boring average quarterback. Minshew is at least a fun average quarterback.
Yeah.
He'll sling it.
Yeah, so again, I think that's a smart move for the Raiders. Again, especially when you have a guy like Devontae Adams on your team. It's going to help out. And Brock Bowers and Mike Mayer and Jacoby Myers. I mean, they have weapons. All right, Stephon Gilmore and the Vikings agreed to a 1-year contract. So one of the veteran cornerbacks is now off of the market. Any thought on Stephon Gilmore going to the Vikings?
No, I mean the Vikings aren't. Even if they do end up being better than people expect them to be this year, I don't really know if just because they just signed Stephon Gilmore is going to make them a playoff team. Who would you rather have, Stephon Gilmore for $9 million? I think his contract was, or $10 million, or Justin Simmons for $8 million?
Even though I think the value of cornerback and safety is vastly different, probably Simmons.
I mean, the issue with corner, generally, obviously, there are some exceptions, but you can fall off pretty quick, and he's 33 years old.
Very quick.
You got to have those fast twitch muscles going to play corner, and at 33, there's not much of those left. And I don't think he's had great seasons recently. So who was he with last year? Dallas?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think he had it. Maybe Cowboys fans want to correct me, but good for him getting another contract. I don't really think it makes a difference.
This is for you, Ian. You put this in the notes.
Okay.
Ian says, quote, Daniel Jones stinks.
Didn't he stink? I didn't sit down and watch preseason. As I said earlier, I'm on vacation, but I saw highlights and it was bad against the Texans. Did you see those highlights that were being tweeted though?
I think
you call those Jones contract looks terrible.
Well, everyone knew that. Everyone knew the contract was bad. Besides the Giants. And those are called lowlights, not highlights.
Yeah.
Lowlights. In fairness, Justin Fields doesn't look good either.
Russell Wilson, no.
Russell Wilson.
All the quarterbacks that we expected to not be good this year have unsurprisingly not looked good in the preseason. Now, once again, preseason is preseason. It's got to suck to be the fans of those teams, though.
You know who did look good, though?
Who?
Oh, you know who.
Oh.
Changing the game.
I did put this in my notes. I figured if I got 20 minutes to talk about the Falcons, I was going to give you 30 seconds. It's just I saw that play by Patrick Mahomes throwing it behind his back. It's like, can we stop, dude? Come on, it's preseason.
Pretty cool, though, right? I mean, it's pretty cool.
It's fine. Do the regular season game.
I love all the haters and losers on a lot of times Facebook who, in response to that play, anything other than like, oh, that's kind of cool, right? If you're a fan of the Falcons, that's so pretty cool, right? It's not really been done. It's kind of fun. All the responses have been scoreboard. Well, losing to the Lions again.
Scoreboard is preseason. Who cares?
That's my point. It's preseason football to the back-to-back Super Bowl champions,
right? Who
just threw a behind-the-back pass for the sake of it in a preseason game, and for some reason, a lot of responses have been, yeah, well, who won the game? As if Mahomes played the entire game. As if this game actually matters. And that's when you know the absolute copium going around in the NFL is too strong. When you have to say scoreboard in a preseason game to the back-to-back Super Bowl champions because they're out there having fun. The 31 other teams, sorry, kick rocks. It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Soft. Charmin ultra soft. And then people are throwing like Dan Marino throwing that one behind his back pass where he just like chucks it in a practice and calling that like he's no Dan Marino. What are we doing here? Yeah, because Dan did that in a game. Again, preseason football, I understand. But why do we have to hate on everything? It was cool. If Kirk Cousins did that, I would give you so much props to Kirk. Say badass. Look at Tony Parker out there.
Yeah, but here's the issue. No matter anything that happens in the world, especially the world of sports, you can find guys who people who hate on it. So just like 99% of people thought that was a cool play. Don't get hung up on the 1% of wackos who are complaining and saying, look at the scoreboard.
I think it was more than 1%. It was loud.
I don't think so. I didn't see anyone saying that. But then again, I guess you said these are Facebook comments. I don't go on Facebook.
Facebook, the X.
I didn't see anyone on the. This is This is typical talk from like teams who like win a couple Super Bowls and then they win again. They're like, nobody believed in us. We had all the haters and nobody believed in us.
Well,
Here we are. We did it again.
Oh, anyone who says that about the Chiefs, you're a liar. The biggest detractors of the Chiefs last year were Chiefs fans. When they lost on Christmas to the Raiders, Chiefs fans called it, all right, not happening this year. But it's not based on adversity. Like, the Chiefs are the favorites to win the Super Bowl almost every single year now. Like, I hate, you're right, I hate when teams do that. The Eagles were able to rock the underdog mentality because they had Nick Foles as their quarterback at the time. That works. Elite teams playing the no one believes in us bull bleep. Soft. Play the villains.
I don't think anybody was hating on that Patrick Mahomes throw.
I saw a lot.
All right.
Get out of Canada, man. It's because everyone's too nice in Canada. That's the reason.
It's not like when I'm in Canada, my social media feed is Canadians only.
Well, it might be.
Oh.
Can you do that like CO? Canadians only? Well, that's how you find your fiance, right? Wasn't it CanadiansOnly.com?
Correct.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have anything else for preseason, or should we get into Defensive Player of the Year draft?
Let's do DPOY.
Okay. So last week was Coach of the Year. I believe I went first, so I think you are up first for Defensive Player of the Year draft.
I'll go Micah Parsons.
Yep.
I don't know. I don't always like going with the front runner in this, but feels like a good bet.
He is the betting favorite, and he might get a little bit of some sympathy from award voters because he has been in the top 3 in voting, second or third, I think, for every year that he's been in the NFL for 3 straight seasons. So it might be just kind of like, okay, you've done enough. If it's a close race and he's part of the close race, it might just give it to him.
Yeah, I would understand that.
I'm going to go TJ Watt with my first pick. He's third on the odds list, plus 750. I'm still confused, Sterling. Maybe you can explain to me why Myles Garrett won Defensive Player of the Year last year, because TJ Watt's stats in every single area were better than Myles Garrett's. TJ Watt, sacks leader, 19 sacks, 1.5 more sacks than the next closest guy. He had 5 more sacks than Myles Garrett. 68 total tackles. That's 26 more than Myles Garrett. 19 tackles for a loss. That's 2 more than Myles Garrett. 8 pass deflections. That's 5 more than Myles Garrett. Interception. That's 1 more than Myles Garrett. 4 first fumbles. That's the same amount as Myles Garrett. In my opinion, TJ Watt was by far the best defensive player in the NFL last season. And I've looked for answers. I can't find them. I don't know why Myles Garrett. And everyone just seemed to agree. Oh, yeah, Myles Garrett, Defensive Player of the Year. I thought that was one of the biggest robberies I've ever seen for an award.
If I'm not mistaken, I thought it was last year. I thought Myles Garrett wasn't even in the top 3. I thought it was going to be TJ, Chris Jones, and Micah Parsons. Like, I thought that was the conversation the majority of last year.
I think Myles Garrett,
was that the year prior?
That might have been the year. Myles Garrett is definitely in the conversation last year.
Yeah.
Myles Garrett had an extremely good first half of the season, I believe, if I remember correctly, and then kind of was quiet a little bit in the second half of the season. But yeah, he was Defensive Player of the Year last year, and I don't agree with that. I
think he just got the nod for the Browns defense being so damn good at home. But overall, the numbers were really good. So I think he probably just got the nod for being the best defensive player on one of the best defenses in football.
Sure.
That probably was the deciding factor. And again, Myles Garrett was very, very good. And consistently has always been very, very good.
But regardless, I will take TJ Watt because I thought that he should have been Defensive Player of the Year last year. My second pick is I'm going to go with the guy who was my dark horse to win Defensive Player of the Year last year. And I think he did finish top 5 in voting. Fell a little short. I think he takes maybe another step forward this year because he has done that every single season of his career so far as he's improved every single year.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Max Crosby.
Yeah.
He was my dark horse pick last year. I love Max Crosby. I think he's underrated. Like I said, if you look at his numbers, he has consistently improved every single season. And if he takes another step forward this year, he might win Defensive Player of the Year, especially now that they Who'd they pick up? Was it Christian Wilkins they added to the
from
defensive line?
Yep.
So if they added him, that should open some things up for Crosby, and he should have a great year. So I'll take Max Crosby as my wraparound pick. Who is 10-1, by the way, on the odds, tied for 4th.
You said everything I wanted to say right there, which is why I was drafted. I was going to draft him with my next pick, and I'm very bummed by that. I almost wild carded it and went him first. Ooh. That's how enamored I am with Max Crosby. Even as a Raider, I have just immense respect for that guy. And something that's underrated, he almost never goes off the field. Mm-hmm. The amount of snaps he plays is astronomical.
Yep.
I believe he was the only player who was listed as doubtful for a game last year and still played. Stones, dude. He's awesome. And you're right, with Christian Wilkins, that was the deciding factor for me. But congratulations, you got your guy. I will go Myles Garrett.
Yep.
He's just an absolute freak of nature. I remember interviewing him, and just his forearms are bigger than like my thighs. Like, he's just built different. Dude is huge. He's just such a game changer, so talented, and he's always in the mix. So I'll go Myles Garrett too. You went Crosby, which is a bummer. Gosh. I'll go Nick Bosa. I know the odds are good.
Yeah, he quietly didn't have a great season last year.
Well, and health is just, I feel like with the Bosas in general, the health is always a concern.
Yep.
All right, so I'm at Parsons, Garrett, Bosa.
All right, so I will go the artist formerly known as Josh Allen. Joshua Hines Allen will be my next pick.
I like
for
that.
The Jaguars. Tied for second in sacks last season, 17.5, 17 tackles for a loss. Another guy who's relatively young and I think has kind of taken a small step forward each year in his career. So if he does that again, much like Max Crosby, will be in the conversation. His odds, actually, if you want to talk about a good dark horse bet, 32-1, Joshua Hines Allen, pretty far down the list. So pretty interesting option there if you're looking for a bit of a long shot to win Defensive Player of the Year. And then my second wraparound pick is the guy who's 5th on the odds list. I'll just go Aiden Hutchinson.
Yeah, that's smart, especially if the Lions defense takes a step forward.
Yeah,
which I could see.
Yeah.
All right, so I got 2 here.
Yeah, your last 2 picks.
I will go Chris Jones.
Sure.
I don't know if he wins it. I just think it's so tough as a defensive tackle. Obviously, Aaron Donald did it, so there's precedent for this. But it feels like last year Chris Jones was just incredible. Now, obviously, he missed a game, and he was, top 4, whatever it is. But I hope he breaks through. But that age does make me a little nervous. The Chiefs' defensive line and as a whole doesn't have a ton of help to help him out. He's always the most double-team player in the NFL. Like, since Donald's retired, and I think even the last year of Aaron Donald, it was Chris Jones was the most doubled defensive line. I mean, it was just insane. He doesn't get a lot of help, but he always puts up numbers. Chiefs are always in the spotlight, and they're always on prime time, so at least people know the name. He'll be number 4 for me. Number 5, I'm between 2 guys. I don't know if I want to go with a cornerback because we've gone all defensive linemen. We've gone all edge rushers, but that's kind of what the award has dove into, right? It's almost all edge rushers now. Makes this hard for me. I really want to go with a guy. Don't think I can do it. I'll go with Will Anderson.
Okay. Had a great rookie season.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Will Anderson. I think he has those elite tools.
I will stick with the Houston Texans. Wait, that was your second pick, right?
Yeah.
I will stick with the Houston Texans for the last pick of the draft here, and I will take Danielle Hunter, new signee of the Texans, formerly of the Minnesota Vikings. Tied for the NFL lead last year in tackles for a loss with 23. Also had 16.5 sacks, 2.5 sacks behind the sack leader. Kind of an underrated season last year, and now that he's on the Texans, a team that has some other pieces like Will Anderson, I think that should be able to open things up for him as well. So I will take him. He is at 32 to 1.
It's a good pick. It's a good pick. I mean, I think one of the two Texans, you're right. They got each other to almost feed off of.
Yeah.
The other guy I wanted to go with was Sauce Gardner.
Oh,
I was really considering Sauce. I couldn't get myself to go Sauce. And the other guy is a dark horse way down there. He was injured last year.
Matthew Judon.
Christian Gonzalez.
Oh,
yeah. Cornerback. If there's going to be a cornerback to one, I think it's one of those two guys.
Yeah, I think if you go defensive back, I think you go Kyle Hamilton, the safety from the Ravens, who just flies all over the field.
Yeah, he's awesome, man. He's such a talented player.
When was the last time? Because, I mean, safeties have won Defensive Player of the Year. I'm trying to think, when was the last time? Oh, I guess Stephon Gilmore won it for corners.
Did Ed Reed ever win it? He would have had to, right? Polamalu?
Polamalu definitely did. You know who did, who I was a huge fan of, but his career kind of got cut short, was Bob Sanders. Do you remember him?
Not really, no.
Bob Sanders,
honestly, no.
Colts. Oh, won it in 2007. Troy Polamalu, 2010, won it. He was the last safety, actually. I would have figured. Yeah, I don't think Ed Reed is one of those weird ones. Oh, no, he did win it in 2004. He won.
Yeah, even before them. Yeah. Did Ray Lewis ever win it? Linebacker? When was the last time
oh yeah, he won it twice.
On ball.
But Stephon Gilmore won that corner in 2019 for the Patriots. So yeah, there is at least a history of some defensive backs winning it. Lately, it's turned into a lot more of an edge rusher type of award, but it's not quite like MVP where it's just automatically going to be the top quarterback. Now there are still some openings for some non-edge rushers to win it. So,
but it's still mostly.
It is still. I mean,
it's like quarter. Again, it's like MVP, but not quite there. We're edging our way, pun intended, to that being the case.
Yeah, I mean, after Troy Polamalu, so from 2012 to last year, 2023, only one defensive back won it. It was Stephon Gilmore, 2019.
Yeah. And then, by the way, for everyone, as we're wrapping up right here, I did a really fun interview with Fletcher Cox. That'll play on the audio side right after this. YouTube side, head over to Stacking the Box. You'll see it there. A lot of fun. Great time with Fletcher Cox. I used to live in Philly for a couple of years. I was there when they won the Super Bowl, so we talked about that. We talked about the thoughts going through his head when the Philly special was actually ran, and that was pretty entertaining. So check out that interview I did with Fletcher Cox. Again, audio side comes up right after this. Iain, final thoughts.
Go Falcons. This is our year. We got the pieces now. This is our year. Let's go.
I did bet on the Falcons. Was it 9.5 over under?
What'd you take?
I took the over. And this is before the signings. So, Iain.
Even better.
I'm not a hater. I'm a realist. Thank you to everyone for listening. Thanks for everyone for hanging out. Give us a review wherever you get your podcast. Throw us a like on YouTube. Until next time, we are out.